everybody. I've gotten a lot of emails and messages for what type of software I use for my lap counter. In the past, I've used 4 different types of lap counters, this being one of them. This goes with your laptop or desktop computer. It basically hooks by wire to your CPU and also goes to your computer. The downside to this, why I got away from this one, was the fact that you have to put a station somewhere for your laptop next to your track, which takes up, if you don't have the space, takes up space from your track. And you're limiting yourself on, what you can do with your track, because you got this big laptop or computer somewhere on your table. To me, it's just too much. The other thing was that it wasn't wireless. You can mirror it onto a TV. I was using this thing called Carrera, but it's still, you had a bunch of wires everywhere. So that's why I got away from using this one. This here is another type of lap counter that you can use with Carrera. This was the original lap counter that my group used. As you can see, it's very plain. It is user friendly, but to me, if you're a serious racer, I just don't think this is going to cut it for you. It was just it didn't have a lot of functions that you could do. It was plain, it was boring. It, to me, just wasn't functional, I guess. So me and my group we started with this one, we got away from that one, and we went to the computer setup, and then we left the computer setup as well. Next is the Carrera digital app. This, to me, was a great idea for Carrera. Me and my group had a lot of fun with this one. The only thing is that it wasn't very innovative. They didn't update frequently. And it was just basic. It just gave you a few things. The next video you're gonna see is of SmartRace, and it basically does everything the Carrera app does and just so much more. All right, this is the creme de la creme. To me, this is the SmartRace app. To me, if you have a tech guy and you're not using this, might want to change your tech guy. To me, this is the best thing going as far as a lap counter. You can enter your car information here. So these are some of the cars that are in our group. If you go here, has the picture of the car that the person has, what scale, the name, what type of tires. It even has the maintenance intervals. You come here, it tells the person, like, okay, so at my track is called Langolian Motorsports Complex. So this person who has this car, their best lap time on my track is, it tells that car was a 5.847. And it gives the person's name that drove, and it gives the date. This is also where you can see your settings for your car as far as speed, brakes, and fuel. And it also gives you your stats for that car as far as how many races did it run, did it win, qualifying, total lap times the car ever done, races it won, pole positions it won, how many times that car has been in the pit. It's very intuitive and gives you a lot of information and stats. This is why I truly love this app. Then you have driver. For instance, this is me. If you go to your driver stats, It tells you the information like the driver's name and the team, if you make a team for yourself. Like my team is King Motorsports. So it tells you like personal information. You can click in what track that you can toggle between the tracks that you've been to, and they tell you your personal best time with what cars. You can go here, and again, it tells you how many races you have raced, how many times you qualified, your total lap times with certain cars, how many races you won, your pole position, how many times you pit. Then if you come here, we also have track history. Track history breaks down everything in a race. So it gives you the results, tells you people's best lap times, how many laps they got, how many times they pit. Then it goes here, and it can explain to you more in detail as far as every lap. So every lap that you completed in a race is going to tell you your lap time. The orange spots are for very slow laps. The green ones are for personal best. And purple is overall best laps. It gives you stats as far as number of pit stops, number of very fast laps, number of very slow laps, who had the most leading laps. Is up here. If you look at this graph, it tells you positioning changes in the race. From this app, they also have add-ons. The add-ons to me is by far one of the best things about this app. You can look on here a few things. They have championship. They got SmartRace Connect server, which I will get to today. That is by far. This thing is it's just an exciting app. I can't lie to you about that. It's just a very exciting app. Simulates damages. When you simulate the damages, if you come off the track, basically what it does is you have a set goal lap time. Say your lap goal time is 9 seconds. If you don't cross the finish line on your lap in 9 seconds, it's going to assume that you came off the track, and it's going to assess you lap damage. When you get the lap damage, you're going to have to, it forces you to go into the pit and get that problem fixed. It could be anywhere from a B-box problem to a gear problem, a flat tire, and so on and so forth. And you have to go in. It's a mandatory pit, basically. You have penalties. If you have, for instance, somebody that goes into the pit too fast, you can penalize them for that. I've heard of people doing that before. If you have your own personal club track rules, like courtesy of driving, and somebody is rear-ending people off the track, you can assess them a penalty. If you assess them a penalty, you can either take lap time off, add lap time, or what you can do is you can take a lap off of somebody. The virtual pace car is something new that they've just added. I'm still testing with it. I think it's got a few kinks in it, which I'm pretty sure at some point they're going to, like I said before, they constantly update. So I'm pretty sure they're going to work on that and fix that once they figure out the bugs with that. The last thing is the weather. The weather, it simulates dry track, wet track. So when it's a sunny day, you have a dry track, so you should be driving with slick tires. And that's what it simulates. When it says that the weather is raining, you have to go to your wet tires. And if you don't have wet tires when it's raining, your car will simulate you losing traction or hydroplaning by adjusting your braking, your speed, a bunch of other things. That's it in a nutshell for that. Then let's see what else we have here. Up here we have tuning. You can tune your car by speed, braking, and fuel settings, and it saves it. So I could go to one of my buddy's tracks. I can go to another guy's track, and whatever setting I put for this car will be saved. No matter whose track I'm at, you can always, you don't have to go back and configure anything when you go to somebody else's track. It's already in the system. Now, I want to get to the best. I can't say one of them. It's the best thing about this. If anybody knows about Carrera, a lot of their accessories are expensive. So here you have it, the driver displays. One driver display, I think, is roughly about, like $50 or $60. Most people are driving between 4 to 6 drivers. So you do the math. And that's $50 or $60 per driver display. So the SmartRace app lets you use your phone as a driver display. Let me show you. So this is my phone acting as a driver display. You can use either Android or Apple, or you can use them both at the same time with multiple drivers. One driver can have Android, the other driver can have Apple. And it's not going to make a difference. The software will work the same. There will be no difference in how the functions work. On this, one thing I like about this, one recent problem that we sometimes have is we like to have we want to put as many drivers on the track as possible. So we drive with 6 drivers. Because of that, a lot of times we don't have any marshals. So if you get in a car accident or you come off the track, the marshal, we usually will run and the marshal will put your car back on the track. We don't do any stoppage. What I mean by stoppage is we don't pause the track at all when we race. If you crash, everybody else is continuing to race and the marshal will just put your car on the track. But because we like to drive with as many drivers as possible, this button here stops the track. So if you get in an accident, you don't have to yell track. You don't have to say none of that. You just hit this button here and it pauses it. It pauses the track. And that is a great function. It also gives you your fuel. Like earlier when I was talking about the simulating damage, that's what this means by no issues. So right now, if I was driving, I have no issues. If I didn't meet my goal lap time, it would say here like brake issues, motor issue, something like that, which would make me have to go in the pit. Also, what we talked about was the weather, which is here. So if it was raining, you would see like rain right there. It would have rain. The tires you had to go in the pit and change the tires from slick to wet, and it would indicate that right here. Up here, you have your last lap. This is your best lap, and this is your average lap. It has here how many laps you total. This is your position in the race. This is your gap time between the drivers. And one of the best things ever is this here. You can actually, without pausing the track, you can set your braking only your braking in the middle of the race. So say for instance, you do an endurance race and say you're running for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and your tires start to break down. And what I mean by break down is, you know, debris on the track, over time, your car start to kick out. So by your car kicking out, you like, oh man, I'm gonna need more braking, so I can brake in a turn. You can actually do it from here mid-race, and it will only affect your car and none of your other peers' car. It will only affect yours. They can adjust theirs by their driver display. And people, as I was saying, that's the SmartRace app. The other thing is, with the SmartRace app, it's connected with the Carrera Connect. It's very easy to set up. It's Bluetooth, like I was saying, it's no wires. It's just via Bluetooth. And then, depending on what you use, I use the Apple TV. I hooked the Apple TV to my TV on the wall, and then from there, it mirrors the lap times and everything also on the screen from up there. And that is the end of my video, people. Thank you for watching.